What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Cautiously Optimistic, the LOI Fan TV live show, Season 2, Episode 8. I'm joined this evening by Adzi and Liam. Lads, how are we doing? Start off with you, Adzi. Obviously, made the long trip up to Donegal this weekend. We'll go into a bit more detail later on in the episode, but how are you feeling after all the excitement?
Well, I just said today, I'm still absolutely bleeding wrecked from it. Like, it's 8 hours driving just takes it out of you, although I wasn't the one driving, but it was good, and obviously it was a great result as well. But I'll get into it more, but shout out to Finn Harps there. Proper football club.
Absolutely. Liam, yourself, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Obviously, we went to Pat's on Friday. Yeah, it was it wasn't the best of games, but
it was company. Good. Well, it wasn't the best watch ever. Yeah, you probably enjoyed the game, the Arsenal game on Monday night, did you?
Oh, cheers! Yeah. No, it's all about Longford on Saturday, the Midlands derby. Looking forward to it.
Athlone, is it?
Yeah. Jeez, if we can't be Athlone, I'll be worried.
To see the I think I sent into the group the one Athlone fan that travelled to their game there last weekend.
Yeah,
fair play to that. Like that's incredible.
Yeah, brilliant.
I hope Limerick looked after him as well, or Treaty or whatever. I hope Treaty looked after him. Just seeing that just even not even putting him up anywhere, but just giving him a cup of tea or inviting him into the place after. Like, he wasn't going to cause any murder, I presume. So
yeah, no, by himself.
Brave man.
Kicking up a fuss. We'll jump straight into the show. We've got a good bit to get through this evening. Obviously, game week 8 was kind of stretched out with a few teams playing twice as well, catching up with games. So, good few games to get through this evening. We'll start off at Dalymount Park. Lads, I call this game word for word. If you look at the Instagram post, as I said, Bohs are going to come back after the international break, start fast here, but they won't have the quality, and Derry will beat them. And predicted a 2-1 win for Derry as well, and I was bang on the money. I think all of us were expecting the away win in this, but yeah, Liam Burke coming back for Bohs is obviously a huge boost. We'll get into that maybe a little bit as well, but he scored. And then Ronan Boyce, who's in a great vein of form from right back, goal scoring form at moment as well, equalised. And Akintunde, 93rd minute winner, huge goal for Derry City, and they're just so consistent, aren't they, Derry? They're picking up wins just really consistently at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. They're kind of reminding me of Rovers last season. How many 3 games now they've gotten a goal in the last in injury time? So they have
something like that. Yeah.
So that just goes to show that they're going to be there till the end of the season, challenging for the title. All right, they have that desire to go and win games, especially the tight ones. Like that, you nearly always favour them now. Bohs will be disappointed. I'd say they played a lot better than they have in recent weeks, but again, just the second half kind of let them down and so on, and Derry just took advantage of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Liam, how after this game, I think Keith Long was getting dog's abuse at full time coming off the pitch. There's question marks surrounding Tyreek Wilson. I'm not sure if you saw it, lads, but I think he did an interview and he was saying the captain's armband's just a piece of cloth. I don't let it get into my head and stuff. I didn't like that myself. Now, I think when you're wearing the captain's armband, you have to treasure that. That's a huge honour to be given over a football club. And just to say it's like a piece of cloth and kind of undermining the kind of significance of being trusted to be the captain. He was stripped of it on Monday night, maybe after those comments, or just generally kind of his play. He's not really, I don't think he's a leader. He said himself he's not a very loud individual, really. I think he was stripped of the captaincy after this game. A lot of question marks going in. Obviously, they had a bit of a bounce back, which we'll get onto as well, but a lot of question marks after this match. And it is a bit short-sighted to be kind of questioning Keith Long, though, Liam, isn't it?
Yeah, like every year, Keith Long, he kind of goes through the same kind of term, and there's always a bit of doubt, and then he kind of gets the ball rolling again. And every year he's kind of dealt with finding new hidden gems. It's always going to take a while to kind of get the team to gel again and find their feet. But obviously on that Tyreek Wilson, I can kind of see both points. He doesn't want to get too ahead of himself. Obviously, I'm sure it's a big honor for himself to be captain, everything like that. And as he said, he prefers to kind of show his performances and everything like that, kind of lead from example instead of being the loud one. But then you can counter argue that as well and say that you kind of need someone to tell them when it's not going well, like that's not good enough, you know what I mean? But it's for Bohs' fans' point of view. I think I will. Yeah, like obviously the disappointing result against Derry. Now, as I said, I've really fancied Derry this season because they're still yet to kind of find their feet. But in terms of Bohs, it's going to be a tough one. Like Promise was unbelievable for the. He's going to be a very good piece of talent this season, I still think. But as a whole, I think this could be still the season. Keith Long could find it very hard to kind of keep that train going that he's been doing every season with the talent that they've lost continuously.
Yeah, and there's this kind of spine being ripped out, your Cornwalls, your Buckleys and stuff, and they're still yet to kind of replace that. I know they've brought in Connor Livingston last couple of games, and Dawson Devoy's actually dropped to the bench the last couple of games as well, which is an interesting one, a huge statement there, and it just shows you that he's still kind of figuring out that midfield area, because obviously ideally he gets Dawson Devoy into that team. He's such an outrageously good talent, like, and such a promising young player, but the fact that he's kind of trying to get in these kind of players that are probably worse at football than Dawson Devoy, but are kind of probably more hard-working, more kind of ball-winning midfielders. He's just trying to kind of figure that area out. So, yeah, a lot of work to be done at Bohs, but obviously a positive step last night, which we'll get on to. But move on, lads, to kind of a routine enough game. Dundalk 2, UCD 0. Not a majorly shocking scoreline by any stretch of the imagination. Dan Kelly and Pat Hoban with the goals for Dundalk. And then, yeah, for Dundalk, it's kind of a case of just trying to keep this up now, isn't it? Obviously, a lot of draws. I think on the back of that loss against Drogheda before that. So, Dundalk are weird ones. Just kind of mid-table finish for them now this season, or what's the story there, do you reckon?
Still early days for them.
Yeah.
Granted, they haven't gotten the best start of the season. They've drawn most of their games, and I think it's a game like this, especially after the derby, they had to win 2-0 against UCD just to get the confidence going. We know UCD are obviously going to be a weaker team, as we've said it many times, but they're a kind of team that you need to bounce back against and so on.
Yeah.
Just to give you that confidence to go ahead. I think it's the same case with Bohs nearly with Dundalk, but just probably with a better budget and better players. New manager come in, like Stephen O'Donnell's brought in so many players, especially players of experience and so on, and trying to get them to gel similar enough to Bohs. It's just a matter of Dundalk giving them time and whatnot, and kicking on hopefully towards the end of the season. Not hopefully, sorry, why am I saying that? Jesus. Kicking off for them. Hopefully for them, kicking off towards the end of the season for them to try to get Europe or something. But it's similar enough to Bohs, I think. They just have that time. Sure, he practically brought the whole of Pats nearly with him, and the likes of your Keith Ward and stuff. So it's a complete revamp, but especially all the behind the scenes stuff with Dundalk, it's going to take time for them.
100%. Just in terms of that as well, like I think if Dundalk can pick up a few results now on the back of this, they can kind of be in that position where they're kind of going under the radar a little bit. Obviously, slow enough start to the season, but kind of going under the radar because they still have Pat Hoban up front, probably one of the best strikers in the league realistically. Dan Kelly, Stephen Bradley's up good since he's come in. Like they have a lot of really talented players in that side still. Obviously, Keith Ward you mentioned as well. Like they've decent strength and depth in a lot of positions as well. They're a team that could go under the radar and kind of gather some momentum and just kind of steadily build up the league. And then at the end of the season, we're looking at it kind of saying, geez, these are challenging for Europe. We're going to get a European spot. Like it's just one of those things, isn't it?
100%.
But yeah, it's no harm for them because, well, like since 2014, they've been dubbed, probably the greatest League of Ireland side ever. Between that period between when Kelly took over in 2013 to when he resigned to take the Ireland job or whatever, they were dubbed as probably the best League of Ireland team or League of Ireland team ever assembled. And every time Dundalk the last few years have come under the spotlight over something negative, it's just been blown up, and it's no harm for them whatsoever just to be kind of under the radar for their own sake.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you agree, Liam?
Yeah, no, and especially in the League of Ireland, all the teams are always so close. Like in terms of points, like I was looking at the league there earlier. Bohs are only 4 points off second. You know what I mean? And you look at the complete comparison of both ends of the table. Teams not doing well, not starting well. Obviously, there you're off to a flyer. There's not really much separates top and bottom, regardless of what time of the year it is. So Dundalk will always have time to rebuild, like kind of climb up the table, kind of get their form going. But yeah, it'll be they just need to be consistent and start making draws, wins really. But Dundalk will always be up there challenging for European place. I feel, just given the money that's in the club really.
Yeah, for sure. You could see them potentially recruiting a couple in the summer potentially as well. Kind of touching on that, what you were saying there about the kind of gap between the top and the bottom. It's not like the difference between the two, like a lot of these sides isn't much. And we kind of saw that at the showgrounds on Friday night. Shelbourne travelled off the back of a 3-0 home defeat against Finn Harps. They travelled to Sligo, unbeaten Sligo at the time. And no one really expected Shels, maybe nick a point max here, but no one really expected them to come away with all 3 points. But a Dan Carr penalty secured the 3 points for Shelbourne. A massive victory for Damien Duff's side. And it is so significant to see that kind of reaction off the back of a poor defeat, to see the players go out and fight and keep their heads up and then come away with an unbelievable result.
Yeah,
jump in.
Go on. I was going to let Liam go there first, but I got to continue with it. Yeah, like considering the last result they had was 3-0 against the last 3-0 to Finn Harps. That was the last result they had.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's gonna be that sort of up and down season for them. They might do well and they'll be up for it against all the top teams and so on. Which is obvious. It's a great win for them, of course.
I think it suits them to play against those teams as well, when they can kind of sit back and hit them on the counter, whereas maybe playing against a Finn Harps, they have to go and try to break that team down, if you get me. They don't really have the quality to do that, whereas they're actually kind of more suited to kind of playing on that counter attack.
Well, yeah, because like they don't have, in terms of quality, they're nowhere near like the top of the league, all right. So they just have to kind of bear with it at the moment and deal with that. As we said loads of times, it's a process more so with Duff and Shelbourne at the moment. It's just, they just, once they get better players in, Duff can probably start implementing his game more. I'm not saying that I have any bad players. There's just, it's a completely new start for Duffer and Shels. So, it's no harm for them at all. I didn't see the game personally. I don't know if they were. I'll take your word for it. They were kind of sitting back and countering as well. So hopefully for them, they kick on now. But it's gonna be an up and down season for them again, as I've said before. Sligo will be disappointed, all right.
Easy game up next, though.
No. I have a good prediction for that. But Sligo will be disappointed as well. They'll be very, very disappointed, especially the way they played against us. I know it was a 2-2 draw and whatnot, but coming off the start they've had, you think they would have. I think we all said last week they would have dispatched of Shels, no problem to them. But look, it's the way it goes sometimes.
Absolutely. Shocking few days for them. Liam, this result kind of interesting that Duff brought back in Brendan Clark. Had a great game against Sligo. Cameron Ledwidge as well after the game. Duff came out, and I think it was Carl Shepherd had previously made comments about Ledwidge, and Duff could kind of question that, saying it's a 20-year-old kid. He's only after coming back from England and stuff like that. Where I kind of disagree with him. I think he is just publicly standing up for the player, but I think pundits and stuff have every right to kind of criticize poor performances and stuff. I don't think you can really hold it against the person individually, but I think Duff is just trying to build Edwards' confidence and just kind of back the player. And it is a good move. You've seen Duff do that quite a bit this season. He's come out and said that he's got the 4 best central midfielders in the league, and Dervin, Coyle, Lunny, and McManus. So do you think this kind of public praise of his players and public backing of his players is like a solid kind of tactic in the eye of the public, Liam?
Definitely. Like, you kind of have to be seen to back your players regardless if it's going well or not. You see a lot of the English managers kind of coming out backing their players, but you never know what's going on behind the scenes, really. Like, if he really thinks that he is a 4 best midfielders, I think he has to seriously look at himself in the mirror. because you know what I mean. But like it's good, it's all good and well because then he's building his own players' conference, which will obviously help the team morale, everything like that. But so yeah, you can kind of see both sides of the argument. But I think if Shels could get a result on Friday now, this coming Friday, I think they can only really build on that and be interesting to see how far they can go. Obviously, at the start of this season, there's a lot of people with Duff's just the worst Ian Morrison, you know what I mean? But as it seems like a lot of the LOI clubs, they're all new to their team, they're all new managers, kind of to reshuffle of the pack. It always takes time. I still think they're going to struggle for goals. Obviously, Dan Carr scored the pen on this, but I think you're relying too much on Dan Carr and Sean Boyd could be a big issue for Shels.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the worst area to potentially recruit in the summer. Might be the worst shout for Duff, I think. But I think defensively in midfield they're quite strong. Shels. It's just in that kind of final attacking third of the pitch, a bit more than out injured at this moment as well. Definitely lacking a little bit in terms of creating stuff in the final third. But as a Shels fan, happy with that, delighted with that result, of course, and super platform to build off.
I think Duff has to be careful though. Like I know we hit back at the comments Carl Shepard made, but similar case. Remember Stephen Bradley a few years ago? He's quite outspoken in the media, and you're only going to get people like more people turning against you and more pressure on you and more eyes on you, and they're going to be singing all sorts about him and so on. So it's just he needs to kind of give himself that little protective barrier where he is backing his players, but not so not too much as well, because in fairness, a lot of the backing goes behind the scenes in the dressing room. The players know when they've messed up or when they've done something well themselves. No doubt if somebody acts out in training or does something bad in training, Duff is onto them and hounding them, and rightly so. But he's always going to back his players in the media and so on. He's always going to come out and support them. He needs to be careful with how he phrases it, just so he doesn't get, much more. There's already enough eyes on him as it is. There's no point in him getting more eyes and more pressure on him now.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I was just thinking after it as well, though, like I'd say Ledbridge here and that, he's like, I'd run through brick walls for this fella, like the manager as well, like thinking of it from that point of view as well. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so like it is kind of trying to find that balance with it as well. But as I kind of touched on Ian Morris earlier, last thing on this, I think it's been proven with how he's doing at Waterford that good to kind of. Well, I think we're upgrading in that department anyway. That's all I'll say.
It's still early. Still
early days. So,
Ian Morris is very good in the first division, though. I'll give him that. He's a specialist in the first division, really. So
yeah. Waterford are story for another day. The game we were at, we kind of touched on it before, not the best of fixtures this weekend, not one you'd want to be watching back on LOI TV, but St. Pat's through 1-1 at home to Drogheda United. Dale Rooney opened the scoring in the 18th minute, and Dara Burns equalised in the 78th minute. Great goal from Dara Burns, in fairness. He did really well for kind of started to move himself, kind of took the game by the scruff of the neck, played it out wide, good ball in by Breslin, and Dara Burns finished it off. But apart from that, wasn't overly impressed by Pats at all. Dara Burns wasn't too great. He's a little bit wasteful at times, bar the goal. Pats are nowhere near the title race, in my opinion, anyway, after watching that. Even after the Rovers game that they won, like didn't play great. Like they'll probably be top 4, top 5, but they're not in the title race for me, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like obviously we were at the game, we kind of digested it there. It was not a memorable game really. It was a game of not many chances really. I can't really remember a clear cut chance for Pats. Obviously bar the goal that the equaliser. I thought James Abanko was very good when he came on. Just stuff like that, you know what I mean? But it wasn't a very memorable game. Drogheda seemed to like to sit back and kind of just soak up the pressure. And obviously they were clinical with their goal, but I don't think either team will be setting trees. You know what I mean? It wasn't the best of games.
Drogheda, I know it was a good point for them to carry me down there this season, though. I thought they were poor enough. Like, they'll definitely be down there come the end of the season. I think in the second half, they didn't really get near Pats' goal, but they kept their shape well, in fairness. They kept their shape well. They did well to keep the point. But yeah, Drogheda definitely going to be down in the bottom three anyway for me. Adzi, looking at Pats, is disappointed for thinking about that Rovers result at Richmond Park, like given kind of Pats' kind of inconsistencies this season, isn't it really?
Yeah, the Rovers game, it's they're always going to be up for that. They're going to get their biggest crowd and so on, so they're going to automatically just play better, just with the stakes of the game and obviously it being a derby. I haven't seen much of Pats otherwise this season. All I can judge is from when I've seen them play against us in the President's Cup and in the league, and they played well against us. We are probably ultimately the President's Cup. We weren't that great. Pats are probably the better team, and the league result there a few weeks ago, we were by no means our best at all. But at the same time, Pats were excellent. They were chasing down everything. So for me, for me looking at that, it's disappointing that we couldn't get a result out of it a few weeks ago. But I just don't understand how it's been happening a few times with Pat this season as well, that they've seemed to have played so poorly and they've gotten poor results and so on, and like that's right, the team, with all due respect, they should be dispatching them.
100%.
But it's a weird one. I can't really judge like that. I haven't seen them much, but just even looking at the results they're getting, I'm like, yeah, it's a bit frustrating from a Rovers point of view, but it's hard to understand.
Looking at the game on Friday night, anyway, looks like Rovers dodged a bullet, not going for Owen Doyle anyway. I think he probably will score him 15 goals or something this season, but like a couple of times I've seen him now and he hasn't done an awful lot for me. Even balls into the box and stuff, he's not really getting near them. A couple of good balls in as well, not really getting on the end of them and stuff. Like it's that's his game, isn't it? That's what he's like. He's kind of that target man, that number 9 that's going to win those headers and get into good areas and stuff. And I suppose the service has to be good and be there from, but at times I just thought he was a little bit non-existent and stuff. So
he's 34 years of age as well. He's not going to be doing all the running, because remember him at Rovers when he was a young lad, and even at Sligo he had a bit of pace about him. He was getting about the place. So like, if it depends what Pats are going for, what Tim Clancy is going for. Does he want to adapt his game to try and get Owen Doyle scoring goals or whatnot? Because like, you have to still, Owen Doyle still has that quality. There's a reason League 1 and League 2 teams are still looking at him before he decided to come home. But like, is it more so a win now thing for Pats, like try and win the league or cups now and do well in Europe, or do they need to be looking at a few years down the line and so on? I think they do have the quality to be challenging, but it's just not working at the moment for them.
Yeah. Definitely some issues to iron out for Tim Clancy anyway over the next couple of weeks. A game that you'll be delighted to. You've moved on to Adzi. Finn Harps 0, Shamrock Rovers 3. Of course, you mentioned that you were up there yourself. The floor is yours, Adzi. How was your experience up there?
Well, before the match, before I get into how we played and everything, I'll talk about the befores and afters. 4 of us went up and drove up, and like that, it was about 4.5 hours up or whatever. But like that, when there's 4 of us in the car, I think 2 of the lads are drinking and so on, so it was a bit of crack, like, just having a laugh with them. I nearly prefer it than doing the whole bus thing. At the same time, if it's one of us has to drive or whatever. But the trip up was great. Stopped in Emmyvale on the way for a point as well. And in fairness, I think that we were up there for Derry last time, and they recognised completely, and they had a laugh at us, and they were saying, "Oh, I've been in the state of you when you were up here in Derry and so on." And we were like, good crack and so on. So I think that's going to be a spot now that we're going to go all the time, and it's kind of be a thing. Then once we got into the ground, as much as I'd love the league to be developed and have teams with better stadiums, I love the fact that Finn Harps is a very raw feel. If they got like a bigger stadium, they get a bigger crowd, but in a way I wouldn't want it to be that way, because it's just different. It's just a proper League of Ireland ground. There's like a raw feel to it, kind of, an old school feel to it. It's not obviously the best, but there's just a different kind of atmosphere. You're close to the pitch and so on and whatnot. They do an excellent program, which I was very surprised about, and like a fantastic program, and so on. Which it's a good one to have. So
Yeah, absolutely.
kudos to them for that. But uh, even talking to the staff there, the staff are only delighted to have us all up. They're very friendly. They are very welcoming. Even the supporters are always going to be like wishing you the best of luck. Even uh, even safe home and stuff after the game and whatnot.
Okay, to them, yeah.
I remember when obviously they had the goalkeeper sent off for the penalty, and Bashan Heary went in, and in fairness to him, like fair dues, like no one's
Yeah.
he doesn't have a chance, but like someone has to go in and concede the
Yeah.
goal. So, but all the Rovers lads like said fair play to him, like they went up straight after and so on. But even when he was coming off the field, where we go, this Finn Harris dressing room is behind the stand, so we have to walk through where the players come out. So Bastion
class.
here, he was the last one to come in. So obviously we're like, oh, hard luck, Bastion, whatever. And he just started laughing and so on. We were shaking his hand and patting him on the back and stuff like that. And just like he was having a laugh about it. He couldn't care.
Yeah.
So fair play to him. There was no,
Yeah.
just what can you say? Do you know what I mean? You're not going to be a kick or anything, What else? Yeah, it was great. Like, despite the drive home and back, it's a place I'd love to go up to again. Like it's so cool. Everyone's so friendly and so on. I'm sure like we Rovers fans could have sat in the lead and home if they wanted to be no trouble, just a bit of crack. But even Rovers fans were buying the amount of programs I saw them bought. They were going into the club shop there and buying scarves and everything, like just and giving back to them, and just it's great. I know there was a bit of murder there the last time with them, but I know somebody did wreck the jacks or whatever, but Rovers fans got a GoFundMe going and did a whip around and paid for it and whatnot. But just it's great club and so on. In regards to the game, Rovers were excellent.
2 words for you regarding the game. Andy Lyons. What's the story there?
Man, what a player.
Bohs fans turn off now. Bohs fans
I heard before he signed us, apparently he was shite. That's what I've heard, but like clearly not. He is different. He's different gravy.
Was he playing left wing back again? Was he?
Yeah, left wing back again, which it's nowhere near his best position. Like, he's clearly a right-footed player, and he just favours it so much. But even defensively, he's very good. But getting forward, he's so good with the ball at his feet, and isn't afraid to, if a player's in front of him, just taking a step to the right or step to the left and like chipping the ball in, and it's accurate every time. Up and down constantly, just such confidence when he has the ball at his feet. Reminds me of Liam Scales, nearly in a way. Just when he was going forward or when he was getting a cross in or anything like that, it was always just so relaxed, and he could do no wrong at all. Especially the second goal, first goal, great header, put himself into the mix of it and got a nick onto it. Great second goal, clipped the ball into Gaffney and then continued his run. Was 1-on-1 with the Harps defender and just took it to one side and then hit a top corner. He was excellent. So he's been what a signing for us again. The Bohs Academy doing well for us again. No point in us setting up roads down. We have Dannemount Park for us, so it's all good for us. Like he was excellent. But regards the whole team, we could have been going up there and winning 3-0. I would have been happy with a draw up there because it's a tight pitch. It's not the best of services either. But Rovers could have won that game 4-5-6-0. Now Harps had their chances. I think they hit the post and managed to cut off a bit in the first half, but then once we got our goal at half time, it kind of killed it for Harps, and we did very well. I don't think Harps really threatened otherwise, to be honest with you. But Rovers were very comfortable, and it looks like we're getting into the swing of things now. We're playing nice football and whatnot. So yeah, it was a very good performance all around. I think Berkey is now having the confidence again and just shooting from anywhere like he does, but actually threatening the goalkeeper. So it's gone quite well for us. It's just a matter of, can we, at this stage in the season, can we even better that towards the end? I know we have Shells this Friday. I think Pat's next week, and then Bohs the week after. And I think Derry is soon enough as well.
Jesus.
Derry again is soon enough. So it's no easy game. Well, there's no easy games whatsoever in the league as far as I'm concerned. But it's I think now after getting that result last night, and especially with the way we played against Sligo, despite the draw, I think it's the perfect time to be going into these games. Confidence high, everyone playing with confidence. I know we're still waiting for players to come back. Sean Kavanagh was back as well, which is great to see.
Brilliant.
He's been riddled with injuries since the cup final that we won. So it's great to have him back. So hopefully we get minutes under his belt. Farrugia as well back. A lot of players just coming in now, and even seeing the players we have on the bench. Come on, Ross.
Do you think with Cavan and Frugia coming back, Andy Lyons will revert to like kind of a right wing back role then if they're coming in at left wing back? Yeah,
it's his best position. It's just a matter of keeping those two lads fit. Like once they're fit, he won't be playing left wing back. So at least one of them has to be fit for that not to happen. Yeah. So I'll still say he'll be right wing back. Finner, he's great and everything. He's just not going to play as much anymore. He tries his best every game. He's some engine on him, but Andy Lyons is going to be the future for that, and it's going to be the mainstay. I think Finner is still obviously going to be the captain and the leader in the dressing room, which I think he takes great pride in. I know he takes great pride in that. So yeah, it's looking very good for us. As well, Sean Hoare coming into it again, just all around, like it's improving week by week, which so early in the season, it's great for us because we've started off slow the last few years and kicked on strong, but starting off well now this time round, it's very good for us.
100%. Good commentary. The fact that now the White Club, which is as far away from any city as is Middle Earth, can play in the highest divisions while being financially sound is incredible. Great comment.
They're back heavily, boy. Everyone loves Finn Harps. No, you don't. Yeah. I don't think no one wants them to do bad. Like I guarantee, if they got plans for a new stadium, they bring in a massive crowd because it's a huge. There's a huge support from them up there, and so on, and it's absolutely great to see. Just 100%. Imagine if they get that 5,000 seater or something in there, they bring so many more in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It'll be absolutely fantastic. We'll move on to last night's games then, lads. UCD 0, Derry 2. I'll keep kind of repeating what we said earlier on about Derry, just so consistent, picking up these wins. An outstanding free kick by Will Patching to open the scoring. 66 minutes though, UCD did hold them for a while and made it difficult, but Derry, they just showed their quality in the end. And then, as I said earlier on, Ronan Boyce scoring again, 2 goals and 2 from right back. He looks like a fantastic prospect as well. But that puts Derry 6 points clear now at the top of the table. Liam, is that significant at this point of the season, or did you not read too much into that?
It's too early to be looking into that, I think, obviously, because they all have to still play each other a handful of times.
Good answer.
But obviously UCD, I think the Bohs, the fact they could kept Derry at bay until the 66th minute. UCD won't be any pushovers this season. Obviously, it was 2-0 in the end, but the fact that they were able to keep it at 2-0 and not concede till the 66th minute, there's quality in the league. Like, you know what I mean? Obviously, UCD have a handful of players that might leave in the summer, obviously, but that's their worry. Then they'll obviously try to get good use of them until then. Derry, I can only see progressing really. Once they just keep getting the wins, there should be no reason. But obviously, they still have to play. I think Rovers and Derry are going to battle it out this season.
Yeah, it looks to be the case. It looks to be that way. As he's seeing that kind of gap in the table at this point, doesn't concern you, does it not? Or is it kind of?
Yeah. No, like it's. We've obviously I prefer to be 6 points ahead than 6 points behind, as any team would. But no, it's still a long season. Like, we're only coming into the second round of games now, and so on. And no doubt Derry will always still be a tough game. But I'm interested to see if they have the legs to go towards the end of the season. Yeah. Will they be able to battle it out? Will they grind it out towards the business end and so on? Going by the results recently, they've no reason not to. But it's a long season. It's been a great start for them. But as a Rovers fan, I'm not really concerned at all. like that. It could be much better, of course, but no, like Derry are they're rightfully top, and I do agree with Liam as well. It's going to be it's going to be two of us challenging for the title.
Yeah,
Absolutely, it's just a matter of down the stretch, as I keep saying, just who down the stretch is going to prevail and get a lead. Because I think once a lead opens up towards the middle end of the season, it tends not to go away.
yeah,
So if Derry if Derry lose to us, no, if Derry beat us, and now in the next few weeks, there'll be a little bit of concern because then that could potentially have at least a 9 point gap or so on. Um, so obviously we have to perform. We have to be performing at our best, but we also have to rely on other results for us too. So
yeah,
looking forward to the. I say as a neutral as well, it's a great time to get into the league to see teams,
yeah.
especially from the south and the north, just go at it. I think that
Yeah.
will be the case. So
A good competitive title race is crucial, just to even bringing in the neutrals and creating that kind of narrative that you can kind of cling on to, isn't it? It just even for like RT to kind of got to show a few games and stuff like, and kind of have that narrative to push as well. It really is kind of help the league, I think.
it's a better feeling for the fans as well. You know, you can't beat a like. Remember we played Bohs. We were up for the title against Bohs, 2010, and even in 2009, Rovers had the advantage with six games to go, and we completely bottled it. Then 2010, it looked like we bottled it again. We lost to Sporting Fingal, and Bohs were ahead by a certain amount of points, but then certain results went our way, and we ended up winning the league the last night in Bray by drawing the game. So just in terms as a fan, like it's great to win the league regardless, but when especially when you play football as well, when you've grinded for something and you've
Yeah.
had to battle it out to like the last two games of the season, it's a much better feeling than being so many points ahead, like 15, 20 points ahead.
Yeah.
So just as a
100%.
Rovers fan itself, it's just great, I think.
Absolutely. We'll move on to you wouldn't call it a relegation 6-pointer, but two sides that are going to be definitely down there come the end of the season. 8th against 9th here, 2-2 in Ballybuffet. If you had to offer Drogheda 2 points from 2 games away at Pats and away at Harps, they probably would have taken that at the start of the weekend. They took the lead early on in this one. I think it was in the 6th minute. They scored through Clark, and then Finn Harps equalised, and then Yo-Yo Maddie put Finn Harps ahead on after 43 minutes, and then Ryan Brennan off the bench. Huge boost to get him in for Drogheda. Quality player. 85th minute equaliser, which is a massive goal for Drogheda. Two sides that you'd expect to kind of be 8th and 9th this season. I don't think anyone will disagree with me too much there.
That'd be a scrap between them, I'd say.
A playoff spot.
Especially the way they're set up, it'd probably be a scrap of the playoff spot. I'd say that.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue too much there. I think Finn Harps, Drogheda, and Shells, I think, will be scrapping it between them, personally.
That's why I'm hoping Shells can just get that 7th kind of comfortable gap between, build that gap between those 3 bottom sides. I hope we're part of that kind of mid-table battle rather than that kind of down to the end of the table battle. But I think we might be in that kind of middle ground maybe between the two, which I'd take if we can avoid the relegation battle. I think it's definitely been a successful season. And it's probably the perfect result for Shells as well. Both teams taking points off each other as well. Probably the perfect results from a Shelburne point of view there. And then the final game of game week 8, lads, Sligo Rovers 0, Bohemians 1. A massive win for Bohs here on the back of a lot of kind of meltdowns on Twitter from Bohs fans over the weekend. A lot of worry. And they needed this win badly. I think it was Liam Burt who got the goal for them after 26 minutes. A super assist from Promise Amashare, who had a quality game. And he's such a good prospect, and potentially one that you might have your eye on at Zeke for next season. But
I think he's good now. Look, imagine what he'd be like when he comes to Rovers.
Yeah. This be an interesting question now. Let us know in the comments if you're watching as well. Is this game the revival of Bohemians, or is this a false dawn for Bohemians? Is this kind of I think a tough game coming up, obviously, which I'll touch on in a minute, but is this going to be the start of their season now? They can kick on, or is it kind of one of those kind of blip games where they picked up the 3 points?
First of all, real quick, shout out to Joey and Dow again on commentary. His commentary work for the goal was just, it was class. He's for a Sligo man, he's very neutral and just loves football. You can just tell he absolutely lives and breathes it. I think Bohs, like of course, it's. I know Sligo have been quite poor. They were poor the last week, and now they've lost at home to Bohs. But I think it's more of a case Bohs really needed that and really wanted it, and more so than Sligo did. They're in a worse predicament than Sligo are anyway. But I don't get the whole Keith. I was going to say it earlier, but I don't get the whole Keith Long slander now because they're only 4 points behind second. You know, so it's not really that bad for them. You know what I mean? I think a lot of it was blown out of proportion by a lot of the Bohs fans, but they've shown by Dad's account, he watched the game. By his account, Bohs should have been 2 or 3-0 up as well. Apparently, they were the better team throughout the game and had a few even better chances. So it probably will be their kickstart that they needed. Just again, if they can maintain it and if they can kind of get a set squad. I don't know what the team was because, as you said, the void was left out and whatnot, and it's going to be more experimental for long and so on.
Yeah, I think it's a case of they like Liam Burt is quality. Like, you only have to get him back from injury properly their last couple of games. That's 2-2 now for him since coming back from injury. Really, he's a top forward in the league. Promised on a share, of course, quality player. You've Ali Coote there. Chris Twardyk's a bit of a one-trick pony, a little bit, I think, but he's still a decent LY winger. It's just defensively at the back they're a little bit shoddy, and in midfield as well. The Buckley absence is huge as well. So yeah, I think they're going to pick up points. They have the quality in the final third to pick up points this season. It's just defensively they are quite suspect, I think, and they will drop points in that regard as well. I think they will kind of finish in that kind of 6th spot unless they can really put a good string of results together, which I don't really see at the moment, to be honest. I just don't think they're going to be that consistent and threaten for those European spots personally. But yeah, I think Bohs need to kind of like realize like who they are and what they are. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't long ago that we were doing fan cam and reaction videos. I think it was like 2018, and they were saying, "Hope you survive relegation, not sucked into the relegation battle." It's like Keith Long's success has nearly contributed to people expecting too much, and these kind of new fans coming in expecting Bohs to be competing at the top end of the table, when realistically, like, their team isn't that good. Like, it's a lot of good players, but like defensively, like it's probably not one of the worst defenses in the league, but it's not great at all. But midfield's not great either. Like, I think the expectations have risen so high because of Keith Long's success that expectations are too high, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, like he's just. Sorry, Liam, you're gonna go out there, were you?
No, we're great.
No, like it's just he's getting different squads every year, and so many players leaving, so many players staying. Like it's never going to be that successful unless not only like they need to change their whole like background and so on. They need to be given better deals and maybe switch to like full time and whatnot, and just try and get an investor in for them. It's nothing's gonna change unless someone higher up in the club decides to change it, in my opinion. Keith Long is doing the best he can with minimal resources, and I think he's doing all right. I personally still think he should have left after last season to go for the Dundalk job, but look, he's a Bohs loyal, so
yeah, I think he probably has an eye on England at some stage, you'd imagine. Like, I think is he a little bit one-dimensional in his tactics and his approach at times? Maybe he doesn't really wander too far away from the kind of standard 4-2-3-1 really, but I think he is a good motivator and a good manager, and like he's done very, very well with this Bohs side the last couple of years. And I think he got a 4-year deal. Like, he's never getting sacked from that job. Like, they're not going to throw money. There's no point. It's not. Why would they sack him as well? Like,
I have to agree with Adzid personally on the whole. Like, unless they're going to get an investor in, they'll be up there top half the table. But unless they really want to change their structure, the whole club and everything like that, Bohs fans really need to kind of know where they're at. And obviously they have a great manager in Keith Long. He's been very successful. Obviously he hasn't won anything, but he's been very well. He's like brought the development obviously with SKB, and he's brought a lot of players through the ranks who now have obviously making a name for themselves elsewhere.
At Rovers. Making a name for themselves at Rovers.
But to be honest, Bohs, they need it. They need to look at the structure if they really want to progress, because there's only so far you can really take a club if you're fan owned and everything like that. From my perspective, because there's money not getting pumped in. Yeah, money's not getting pumped in. Like facilities, everything like that. You need the best of the best really to get the best silverware. So
exactly. Yeah,
they have to follow him for it as well.
Yeah,
they just like Dan Lambert is just so reluctant and obsessed. Like he has, I'm surprised after the weekend he hasn't tweeted no oligarchs, no investors, and anything like that. 100% fan owned. Like at this stage, nobody cares. It's becoming embarrassing. No one cares. Yeah, football is about getting results and winning leagues and winning cups. They're doing none of that, and that's all down to him and his bleeding fantasy land.
Yeah, that tweet 10 times a year does get a bit wearing at points, doesn't it? Like,
he's a bleeding weirdo. That's what he is.
They can't put that in the trophy cabinet.
What trophy cabinet they have? Where's that been the last 12 years? 12, 13 years? Gone, like their club died as well.
You don't see them winning anything really with the approach that they have at the moment and stuff. Like,
it's like I'm not even trying to have a go at them just for Bohs. It's just the way they are. Like it's just frustrating, and they're set on this. And Derry have got investors, and look, they're already challenging for a title. You know, like teams.
Look at Galway now as well. Galway getting money. Like, there's more competition now in the top flight. Shell's got a bit of investment as well. Like these teams are like going to come. They're going to start overlapping Bohs and challenging for the top half, and Bohs need to kind of they need to kind of look at their approach and kind of see, because before you know it, like these players aren't going to, like, they're kind of star players aren't going to stick around, and they're going to be kind of dropping into that kind of, maybe that question surrounding that kind of relegation spot. So obviously not this season, but I'm saying moving forward, like if they don't kind of adjust their approach, it's definitely going to raise some question marks.
I know Bohs are like. But like Bohs are one of the only part-time club in the league. Is it only them in UCD, or is like Drogheda or Shells, or is it only Bohs in UCD?
I think Shells are more or less full time. Yeah, they're full time, because that's why Ryan Brennan left, because he wanted.
Yeah, and Conan Byrne.
Yeah. So the Shells are full time. Yeah.
Like if I'm a player, I'd rather go UCD than Bohs. Granted, I might not be like not in terms of there's a guarantee for you. You're guaranteed a scholarship. You're doing a degree, and so on. Yeah. I'd rather be a UCD player than a Bohs player, because personally there's much more of a guarantee for me at the end of my time at UCD. I could finish with UCD and have a degree in whatever, and then sign, if I'm good enough, I could sign for whoever then, but I still have that backing. Fact. But do you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I might be being a bit too harsh here, but I couldn't really care either. Fuck them.
How long left do like the likes of Ali Coote, Liam Burt have on their deals? Because like if Derry keep going the way they could be snooping around, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Why wouldn't they want to go? Obviously Brian Maher went from Bray, you know what I mean, to full-time football, and he's now you know what I mean, he's now hitting new levels. So why wouldn't these footballers? Because realistically, if you're playing football at that level, you want to be playing full-time.
Yeah, no, for sure, 100%. We'll move on, jump into our predictions, lads, for game week 9 coming up this Friday and Saturday. Drogheda against Bohs. This is a really tough one to call, to be honest. Obviously, Drogheda off the back of those 2 draws, and then Bohs off the back of a great win at Sligo, in fairness to them. But travelling to Heading to Game Park will not be an easy fixture for them. I'm tempted to go straight down the middle here and go for the draw. Again, 3rd draw in a row for Drogheda.
I'll go for Bohs, so I will.
And I'm going to go for a Drogheda win. I'm going to go for a Drogheda win.
Ooh, nice. Like that.
I just think the home fans, going to Drogheda is a tough place to go. And even at Pats, the Drogheda fans were out singing. They had a tiny little section in the corner out singing the Pats fans. There's a real connection between the Drogheda players and the fans. So I think I fancy Drogheda. And obviously they beat Dundalk at home, so why can't they beat Bohs?
No, absolutely. Speaking of home fans making a huge difference, resulting in a home win, Shelburne play host to Shamrock Rovers on
Some
Friday.
lawyer.
I'm feeling positive coming into this, to be honest, off the back of that win in Sligo. Obviously, Sligo went to Rovers and were unlucky to not win the game in Tala. And obviously, Shels went there and dominated the showground. So, putting 2 and 2 together, like,
Yeah.
there's a narrative here with Duff, obviously, previously with Rovers and stuff. Dan Carr, Sean Boyd. Bit of a narrative, a few different narratives going around the place here. But if I'm being honest with myself, I'd probably go for an narrow away win, to be honest. But I'm feeling optimistic. Cautiously.
I'll go for a Rovers win against Damien Duff Shells.
There won't be much in this, though. I'd say 1-0, like something like that.
It's the original Dublin derby as well. Come to think of it, there's so much history behind it. If Shells a few years ago hadn't gone belly up, it would have been nearly as big as maybe Bohs. Probably not to the extent, but it still would have been bigger than the Pats game. But now I'll go with a Rovers win. We've been playing well recently, and especially off the back of last week, going up to Finn Harpson, winning up there. I'm gonna go with the Rovers win. I don't know. I think it'll be tight, but I reckon Rovers will put away.
Oh, it's gonna be a tough one to call. I'd love if Sean Boyd scored a 90th minute winner and did a Damien Duff celebration.
Dan Carr, because Dan Carr, the way he left Rovers that time, would it be even worse? See, Sean Boyd, I like Sean Boyd because he actually put an effort in with Rovers and so on.
Yeah, and it wasn't he left because of injuries and stuff, wasn't it, and things like that. Like, it wasn't
injuries and just quality came in,
Yeah.
But I'd say I'm gonna go for Rovers. Really should be winning this with the depth and quality. Even like when Azzy was talking about it earlier, there's so many players who just forgot we're even at Rovers and you're just naming them off. But I fancy it'd be tight. It'd be a very tight game now. Shelburne will probably just sit back, kind of keep the formation as strong and similar enough to what Pats did at Rovers. I think they'll try
blueprint there.
That. And try hit them on the break, obviously, but I think Rovers should prevail here.
Yeah,
are you going to it?
Not sure just yet. You?
Well, I'll be around. I'm bringing one of the lads. It's going to be his first game, so I said I'll bring him. All right. So what you call it? A bit of a pre-match scrapping anyway for him anyway.
Yeah.
No cameras though. No cameras.
Oh yeah, fact. St. Pat's Dundalk, lads. Obviously, this is a bit of a derby in itself, given the whole Stephen O'Donnell situation. He travels back to Richmond Park for the first time as manager of Dundalk, and he'll of course be given an awful reception, I'd imagine, along with the likes of Benson, Mountney, Sambo, and the likes. Lot of spite and lot of bite in this one, you'd expect, and Jesus, I've no idea how it's going to go. Maybe a draw.
Safe bet. I'm going to go for a draw myself. It's just
I'll go for a Pats win. I reckon the crowd on Inchore will be on top of Dundalk.
Yeah.
Especially O'Donnell, and no doubt the lads that were there last season will want to get one up on O'Donnell, as O'Donnell will want to get one up on Pats, but I think the home advantage will come into play, and I'll see Pats winning this.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, and it's a tricky one, that one. I think I'll just stick with the draw, but that could go anyway, to be honest. That could go anyway at all. Another derby as well, the Northwest Derby, takes place this weekend between Finn Harps and Derry City. A cracking weekend of LOI action this weekend, lads. Obviously a derby, so it is going to be a feisty fixture, and obviously Ballybuffet's tough trip, but I just think quality-wise, Derry streets ahead, and I think I'm a little bit worried for Finn Harps this season, to be honest. Leaking a few goals and stuff early on. Don't look as kind of sound at the back as they have in previous campaigns. I think Derry will probably win this comfortably enough in the end. Maybe a comfortable 2-0 win or something like that.
Yeah, Yeah, I think Derry. It's one of them. Like it could go either way. Ollie Horgan could get the team playing. You just never know when Finn Harps are going to show up. Really, they went away to Shells there recently and took them apart. Really, but yeah, I fancy Derry. I think it's a no-brainer, really. But anytime we all go for one team getting a result goes the other way.
Yeah, I'll go for Derry. I reckon if it was down, if the league was further on, I'd nearly fancy Finn Harps to get a point or so on, be a scrappy game. But Derry have been flying form, so I'll go for the Derry win myself.
Yeah. I don't think to be too many disagreeing with us in the comments on that one. Sligo UCD then as well. Sligo obviously started the season really well. 2 horrible results in a row though, losing twice at home against Bohs and Shels. 2 games they probably would have looked at and fancied their chances in as well, which is a huge shame from their point of view. To drop points there, and that's probably not to make the title race. Like I don't think they're ever in it realistically, but yeah, it shows kind of where they're going to be this season. But obviously, a perfect game to kind of bounce back with at home against UCD. And yeah, only one winner here for me as well. Probably narrow enough. Obviously, UCD defending well and stuff at the moment and making games difficult. But definitely traveling away from home, UCD do leak them a little bit more. So yeah, I fancy Sligo to kind of get back on track here and Aidan Keena to get back amongst the goals.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be comfortable enough for Sligo, all right. Against if it was a reverse fixture, UCD at home like that, I think it could be different. But Sligo want to be, especially after the result last night, they want to put in a shift there Friday and get at them, and I think it could be easy enough for Sligo now, to be honest.
Yeah, no. Definitely.
Yeah, I think you've both kind of hit the nail on the head there. Obviously, Sligo will be more comfortable on their pitch because there's been a few complaints, not even I've seen, that saying the pitch isn't in great quality, not great nick. But the players, obviously Sligo home players, will be more used to that, more adjusted to playing on that sort of pitch if it is in the state that it's meant to be in. So yeah, I fancy Sligo home win. Obviously they need to bounce back as well, so there'll be a bit more maybe from the home fans as well, trying to get them to get 3 points again and get them back on the right path, really. So yeah, Sligo win.
Yeah. No, yeah, 100%. And yeah, the pitches and bits. I saw a picture of it on Twitter today. Actually, it's an absolute rag order, which is a fairly poor form. We'll jump into our Irish Players Abroad segment. Before we do that, guys, if you can drop a like on the stream, that would be greatly appreciated. If you can subscribe as well, if you haven't done so already, we're only 50 subscribers away from 3,000. That would be fantastic if you can smash the subscribe button. And yeah, like the video as well. But we'll jump in, as I said, to the Irish Players Abroad segment. We'll start off with the main man himself, the man of the moment, Chidozie Ogbene. Obviously had a cracking international break with Ireland and carried that into his club form. Rotherham winning the Papa John's Trophy final at Wembley against Sutton United there at the weekend. 1 goal and 1 assist, and what a goal it was as well from outside the box. Absolute cracker from Chidozie Ogbene. Fantastic weekend for the Irishman, Liam.
Yeah, no, he's slowly becoming one of my favourite players in the international setup. Obviously, seeing him in Luxembourg, he just seems like he just understands what it means to wear the Ireland jersey and be proud. Obviously, similar enough to James McLean. Similar sort of attributes. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. In terms of wearing the jersey, that he kind of die for the manager, and the crowd really starting to get behind him, which obviously is bringing his confidence then for the club, because he's been in and out for Rotherham recently, and he's been playing him out position and right wing back, stuff like that. So it's good to see that his international form's coming back into club, and hopefully he can get a good run in until the end of the season and see them get promoted.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on then to Matt Doherty, Adzi, 2 goals and 4 assists in his last 6 games. Fantastic return from the wing back, and his form has really taken a turn upwards since Conte's come in. Really, I suppose he kind of had a slow enough start under Conte, but last couple of weeks he's been really impressive, and probably our best player, really, Ireland's best player anyway. Yeah,
I know Emerson Royale was favoured ahead of Doherty for a while, which I did not understand at all. Christ, even just, I know he scored there the weekend, Emerson Royale, but still, he's just
stinking player. Yeah,
he's just quite poor. So it amazed me how Doherty was out of the team under Conte in the first place. But since Spurs have got on a bit of a run, and since the whole team's been playing better, he's been brought in, and he's just added to them and so on as well. Like even crosses from deep, balls over the top. Was he better? Is he better now than he was at Wolves? I don't know. It's hard to know. He's playing with better players. In fairness to him,
if you keep up the form, he needs to keep up for a bit longer, a bit more consistency.
It's a pity he's so he's not ancient, but what's he 30 now, 29, 31. It's just frustrating.
Yeah,
it's just frustrating. You see it now. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's actually his fault or anything. I just think it's probably his luck with whatever moves he's got. But now he's cracking on now. I know he was disappointed maybe in the Lithuania game, but against Belgium and so on, he's become such like that. He probably is our best player. I think it'd be between him and Ogbene, to be honest with you. But he's making a claim that he can challenge towards the top of the league in the Premier League, which we haven't had a player be like that in a while. And he's on a good team now, it appears, that looks to be going for the Champions League and so on. No, okay, fair. That's fair enough, Liam. I get that. No, he's doing well. He's doing great. More so than anything.
No, I have a lot of respect for Matt Doherty. He's obviously an Arsenal fan playing for Spurs, so have to give him that. You know what I mean?
Liam, a player that surely we're going to see in the upcoming qualifiers is Michael Obafemi. 6 goals, I think it is, in his last 6 games. I'm not sure if you saw Joe Ledley's tweet calling him a
What was that about?
Mental.
He was at the match. That was it, I think. He was at the match, and I think he was supporting the opposition that Obafemi scored against. So I think he just had I think he caught him on an off day, I'd say, whoever. And yeah. But it is funny to see, that's similar enough to what Randolph did, you know what I mean? And the Irish setup is so unnecessary, and it's very unprofessional.
Just weird.
Yeah, strange carry on.
But I really want to see Obafemi in the squad. Obviously, there's been all that reports about his injury and he didn't want to go. What worries me is his attitude, obviously. But I'm sure I've faith in Kenny to make the right decision, so I'm going to stick with that. If he doesn't pick him, then there's obviously reasons for that. But he's in form at the moment, which is good to see, and it gives a good option for Ireland in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, James McLean, lads, another week of abuse he's received. I think it was 16 minutes. Someone calculated up, I saw it on Twitter. 16 minutes of chance surrounding IRA, things like that, at him. It's absolutely astounding, and it's absolutely vile that the FA allows this to continue happening on a weekly basis, more or less. They haven't set a precedent with this once ever. I don't think a club or a fan have ever really been punished for it in any way. There's never been any media coverage even of any of the incidents, really. Over in England as well. It's just absolutely disgusting, and I'm absolutely sick of it at this stage. It seems to be, it's so common. It's horrible. We have to keep raising the issue as well, I feel, because something that needs to happen with this, and it needs to stop. It's absolutely disgusting that this is continuing to happen. Obviously, he did score against local derbies, Bolton, in the game. Obviously, he's had a bit of stick off the Bolton fans. He kind of gives it back as well, and it's all for that bit of banter between kind of fans and players and stuff. But this has been blown way out of proportion, and the abuse he receives is absolutely shocking.
It needs to come a point where he just has to start walking off the pitch himself, I feel.
Yeah.
Because it's you've seen it happen numerous occasions with other players and with other backgrounds and whatnot. They're getting abused, and wrongly so, and they just walked off the pitch, and you see, I know they're pleaded with and whatnot to stay on, but I think I would like to see him just completely throw his toys out of the pram with it and be like, no, this isn't on, and so on. But in fairness to him, I don't think that's. I think he deals with it quite well. He might get the abuse, but if you abuse him, he'll probably score a goal or get an assist against you or play really well. That's the way he deals with it. But that shouldn't be really the case either. I think more needs to be done. But as you said, there's no there's no sort of coverage over there in England over it. More so the negative stuff. He's more so he's dealt with more negative stuff in terms of the media and how they've treated him over there. But I wonder what like Wigan's like stance on it is, or like have they gone? I wonder if they've gone to the FA and have said something and whatnot. But I imagine they had. If a player's brought that up, then I'd like to think they've gone back to them and brought it up to the FA or whoever it is. It needs to be brought up.
They backed them over not wearing the poppy and stuff like that as well, publicly and things like that. So they do seem to be kind of a support base there from, and I presume they've been kind of surely in contact with the FA in some way, shape, or form about it. Because I know that the agent is very, very public about how it's a really big issue as well. So yeah, definitely something needs to happen there, 100%.
Just to jump in here quickly, Ross, in terms of this, obviously the media coverage. Obviously, since you said this, the media coverage on the whole Harry Maguire getting booed by his own fans got more coverage and more kind of content. Everyone's speaking about it more so than James McLean's ever got in the English press, which just shows how much they just really don't care about the abuse that he does be getting. And it's so bad. It's horrendous. And maybe he just needs to do what Adzi said and just walk off the pitch at once, because it is getting out of hand now. Like, it's been going on for years, and they always seem to have an issue when he's not wearing a poppy, or you know what I mean. And it's good to see Wigan have made a stand with him and said that we understand why you're not wearing it and everything like that. But yeah, it is ridiculous that he's getting nothing back. You know what I mean from the FA.
Absolutely. We'll finish off on this, lads. There's a couple of people I would have liked to touch on, but I have to shoot off for training. But last person we'll touch on is Mazid Ugbono, Ugbunbo, sorry, I'm butchering that name, but obviously the defender with Arsenal and Irish under-20 international as well. Liam, great to see him getting on the subs bench on the game on Monday.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not going to lie. I haven't really heard much of him. I've seen him at Home Farm there recently. I think he got on for a few minutes. But I believe that they had a lot of the English players just kind of came over for the under-20 game, because there wasn't a real camp for the Irish under-20s at the time. So a lot of them were kind of just coming over for a bit of a run out, get some minutes in the legs, everything like that. But if you're at the Arsenal Academy and you're playing for under-23s, you must be doing something right. That's all I can say. But yeah, I'd be interested to see. I'm sure he has other countries he can play for. You were saying, and he could play for Nigeria or something.
Nigerian parents, I think. Yeah, I think there's someone saying he can play for England, I think, as well. But he is Dublin born, so hopefully he is Irish through and through. It seems to be no reason to really question it, I don't think, at this point anyway. But Adzi, Liam, an absolute pleasure as always. Really enjoyed that.
Thanks for having me.
Enjoy the games this weekend, guys. If you can drop a like on the video, that would be super. And please do subscribe. It is much, much appreciated. Thanks a million for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.